Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to a Thursday, a laid back Thursday. I am in chill mode. I am absolutely wiped from the kiddos. And so we are in chill mode. Oh, my phone's going off. I was checking on the stream to see how we sounded. There we go. Not as long as of a delay as I was expecting. I'll let some people join us. Turn down this light. Let me know how audio is, if you would be so kind. We are rolling with in-ears tonight. Got these molded in-ears that I want to use. I see DJ B-Sec in chat. I see Tree Hugger. I see Justin Rakasani. Team Simply Cyber Christopher Whitlock making his way into chat. Welcome. I need a little bit of coffee, so bear with me for one moment. Black coffee. Good old-fashioned diner-style black coffee. Audio sounds good. Amish Runaway. That's good to hear. So tonight is a pretty special episode, session, whatever you want to call it. I'll give you a little bit of heads up of our agenda, what tonight looks like before we get started and while people are making their way here. I didn't do any promotion tonight on LinkedIn, and that was intentional. We're rough season, BSEC. I am number one fan. My wife has a number one 49ers fan. I'm looking at this one right now. So we're holding on. Hopefully our family can pick up one win this season. We'll see what happens. I'm excited for tonight's session because one of the things I noticed about CompTIA is that they don't give you trick questions, but there is definitely CompTIA speak in the way that they communicate how they want you to learn some of the subjects. And while I think Professor Mester probably does the best job, and Ian Neal and Daryl Gibson are some of the best textbook writers, CompTIA still has their way of wording things. And I truly believe that oftentimes there are qualified individuals who are bright enough and smart enough to pass the Security Plus exam, but they might fail or they might fail a practice test because they weren't prepared for what the exam questions looked like. I think part of we may tend to get confused the basic like free or just a sample question versus a practice exam. I think the practice exam questions typically are drafted to resemble the question in its entirety as far as structure, syntax, how the question is asked. And then your, weekly or targeted study, those type of questions, those are really just to get your brain talking about the subjects. The Swifties are going to win. Don't say it, BSEC. Hey, you're back. What's good, y'all? Edrich Mulder. I'll pause on that. But I'm really excited tonight because we're going to get into the mind of CompTIA. I have some of their resources. I am not sponsored by CompTIA. I don't work for them. And I don't closely associate with anybody who is an employee of CompTIA. So I'm comfortable in sharing these resources to you. They are really expensive. And I think that's what frustrates me the most is that there's a lot of people out there that could really use these resources as far as what the official practice test questions look like and the way that CompTIA words like exactly what they're looking for. They charge a lot of money for that, and that frustrates me. And so, you know what we are. We're the Cyber Outlaw, right? The Cosmic Cowboy. And so we're going to unpack some of this CompTIA speak tonight so that you can get a better idea going into your exam, whenever that is, of kind of what to look for as far as syntax and how they put together questions. And we're going to look at some official CompTIA slides. And it'll really kind of help put in perspective what to look for. And then we're also going to compare that with Professor Messer's notes so that if you haven't purchased either, or maybe you can't afford either, this is a great opportunity to maybe see some of the resources that are out there that you can compare the $300 to $500 resource versus the $30 resource. Casually Joseph has entered the chat. I need a Stream Deck and it's on its way. Tax return season. I'm going to get a Stream Deck. I need to make some sounds. This coffee is still too hot to drink. All right, it is 5:05, so let's go ahead and get started because time, like I say, is the most valuable thing. It's the one thing that you can't really get back once it's gone. I'd like to welcome everybody this evening to Slay Security Plus. Tonight is Thursday, the 8th of February. My name is Jesse J, aka the Cosmic Cowboy, the Cyber Outlaw, and I am, like many of you, a newly minted cybersecurity professional / I just got in the industry myself, and I remember what it was like coming up and trying to find resources and entry-level certification exam preparation materials. And so I said I'd make it my goal and my journey to rock and roll with these resources the best I could and help people along the way so they didn't have the same struggles as I did. So welcome to the channel. If this is your first time, let's get rocking. And to get things started off, I'd like to start off by thanking our show sponsor, our session sponsor. Our session sponsor is the good folks at Simply Cyber, Dr. Jerry Ozier and his team, aka just himself. He's a one-man wrecking crew in the Simply Cyber crew, backed with over 20 years of industry experience, and now helping well over 16,000 students with over 101 YouTube subscribers. And it's beyond a YouTube channel, it's beyond an initiative. Let's be honest, what Dr. Jerry Ozier is doing is really revolutionizing this whole professional networking community aspect of entertainment and education meets content creation, meets collaboration. And I think it's wonderful what he's doing. So if you need to level up in your career, there's probably a video for that. If you're trying to transition maybe from a different sector of the industry into something else, there's a video for that. Check him out at simplycyber.io. Thank you for your sponsorship. I've gone over the mission a couple times. We're not going to get bogged down into that because I'm really excited to cover tonight's materials. But if this is your first time joining us, please let us know in chat. We are inclusive 0 to hero. So whether it is your first time, it's your first time in a long time, or you're just getting here to the cybersecurity industry, you're absolutely welcome. We keep things freely available or absolute 0 to no cost or very, very low cost, pay what you can style. We're no BS industry tested, so we use scientifically proven learning methods to help you retain subjects and questions and concepts more effectively. And then everything we try and do is actionable, meaning that if you're getting here day one, you can start studying for your exam preparation today and walk away with something. And then we are community driven. This is a community initiative. It wouldn't, Slay Security Plus wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you that show up every Monday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And you pay attention and you ask the questions and you help contribute to the community. So you are what makes up Slay Security Plus. And so thank you for being here this evening. Let's get rocking. Did I miss anything? We talked about how to study for the Security Plus exam. That's in another video, so go check that out on the live. If you're on YouTube right now, there should be one video posted that just kind of covers how we study. We'll probably make that again, maybe refine it. But for right now, that video is there, and it serves as a great kind of a on-ramp to how we study for Security Plus here at Slay Security Plus. And then our mid-roll sponsor, who I'd also like to thank, is Josh Mason at Mason SC. He's your partner for IT, a secure and efficient future, and he's your IT partner for both of those things. So whether you need IT consulting, somebody to teach your CISSP course, coaching, or mentorship, reach out to Josh Mason. It's been an absolute blast working with him. So thank you, Josh, for your time, your financial contributions, study resources, everything that you've done for Slay Security Plus. We thank you very, very, very much. Without further ado, connect with me. Find me on LinkedIn, Discord, or Twitch. Let's grow this community together because this is a community thing. We can't do this without all of you. And so I'm really excited to keep doing this and be here, even when I'm tired, right? That is what I think being in cybersecurity is about, is you have to roll with the punches. And sometimes you're really tired. You have to show up to work because the bad guy shows up to work. And they don't take breaks just because they're tired. And I'll sleep when I'm dead, right? Let's get started. So we're going to start things off a little bit differently. We're going to actually start things off tonight by doing this the way that we talk in our study method. We're going to start off by quizzing ourselves with about 5 questions. Then we're going to go through the learning material the way that CompTIA has it in their slides. Everything tonight is CompTIA speak. It's CompTIA's questions, they're CompTIA slides. I really want you, the examinee, to get an idea going into the exam what the syntax look like. Is there any goofy words or proprietary CompTIA only words that maybe only they use within their study preparation materials that nobody else really uses? And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with 4 or 5 questions, go through the materials, and then we're going to revisit some more questions staying within the exact same domains to kind of see if we've learned anything and then we'll wrap things up with the usual Jaw Jack Q&A. I see BSEC in chat. Maybe I can convince him to come on. The family is out getting some clothes and some food for the evening, so we'll see how tonight rocks. If you've got a tired family, if you have kiddos, you know how it rolls. If you don't, if you have pets, or maybe you've just been tired in life, you totally get it. So without further ado, let's get rocking on some questions. I'd like to remind everybody as we answer these questions, if this is your first time jumping into Slay Security Plus, that we don't do any of the answering in chat. Instead, here in just a moment, you're going to find yourself with a QR code and an ID. Simply scan this QR code or put in this ID at vvox.app, and it should take you right to this quiz. It's 134-405-342, or you can scan that QR code. All right, let's go. I'm stoked. Got a small class tonight too. I actually really enjoy smaller classes. How tired? I've been fighting. I can't. If I sit for more than a few seconds, the eyes close and I would be completely asleep. So going on a couple hours. That's all right. We've done this before. This is the name of the game, man. And you may have seen some of these before, and so just answer them the best of your ability. If you remember them, that's great. Which of the following threat actors is most likely to exploit unsecured networks using weak or default credentials for financial gains? A, nation state, B, hacktivist groups, C, cyber criminals, or D, insider threats? Which of the following threat actors is most likely to exploit unsecured networks using weak or default? There you go. Weak or default credentials for financial gains. A, nation state, B, hacktivist groups, C, cyber criminals, or D, insider threats. I actually kind of like this style of run and gun, starting with questions, going to the material, and then going back to questions for live. This one is pretty easy. I think I'm liking the ears. It feels bulky. Did everybody watch the Jack Reciter interview or podcast, a live stream, whatever you want to call it, with Dr. Ozier today? Man, his microphone sounded absolutely super crisp. At Slay Security Plus, where is Script Kitties? They're not on this question, but they may appear somewhere. DJ Basic this said they would be the most likely ones to do something like this, maybe outside of organized crime. Mercy. You're never going to get me, compa. Remember, this quiz and style of examination is absolutely anonymous, so I can't see what answer you've selected. Nobody else can see in chat either. It comes up with a little bit like graph just like this at the end, and so there's no need to pressure yourself into doing an answer that you either aren't sure of, and it gives you a chance to make mistakes. A lot of people, if you ask DJ BSEC or some people that have been in the industry for a long time, they say one of the things that we see with new people in the industry is this reluctancy to make mistakes, to break things, to build and see what happens from there. Cyber criminals. You probably go, well, these are all cyber criminals. Yeah, there's something very specific, and we'll get to that in the answers, why CompTIA is looking at this question like this. And so here we go. This will hopefully get you into the mindset of how these guys write some of these questions. Now, again, these are not actual examination questions, but these are official study pre-exam practice test questions. Brain, synapses, fire, come on, connective tissue, work. Financial gain motivates cyber criminals, and you're going to see as we move through CompTIA's version of Intro to Cybersecurity, basically is what this is, right? Let's be honest. That they like to use this word cyber criminals. They kind of throw it around as this catch-all, but more of just a group of baddies, right? Bad guys. They use threat actors, which I appreciate, but they kind of use cyber criminals as individuals of groups that exploit easy targets like unsecured networks using default credentials to gain authorized access, commit fraud, theft, or ransom attacks. Now, here's why the other answers are not correct. And you're going to find as we take 701 and other CompTIA examinations that sometimes it's not necessarily what the best answer is, but what the others are not, right? And you go, okay, well then this has to be it. Like this isn't necessarily the greatest one, but again, CompTIA is looking for which threat actor is most likely to exploit these credentials from the options they give you. You've got to get your brain wrapped around this concept that CompTIA is testing you within the concepts of, yes, your IT career and kind of what you know, but when it comes to the study materials, how you're going to like their stuff, you're really going over the questions and the answers they give you. So this is what we're working with. Remember, that's part of how we slay these questions is we look at what are we working with? What's the question asking? What are the answers that are provided? Because there are other answers that probably would fit this question better, but CompTIA didn't give us those answers to choose from. So we got to go with which ones are best. Edrich Mulder, I wish I knew what you said. One thing about CompTIA's examinations is in 501, they had a lot of multi-sentence questions that were really confusing. And so starting in 601, it has been said in the industry that they made them no more than 3 sentences. And you're going to find they're like, how is this 3 sentences? Well, watch this. A group of hacksaws exploiting vulnerabilities in a certain organization's online platform using spear phishing techniques launches a series of attacks disrupting the organization's services. These attack vectors could be a clue here. There could be a clue to the question in the question. These attack vectors target both software flaws and human elements of the organization. 1 sentence, 2 sentence. Driven by disdain for the organization's practices, their primary objective is to raise awareness and bring about changes in the organization's conduct. There's your sentences. It looks like a lot more, but those are your 3 sentences. And then here's the question. Based on this information, what is the primary motivation of these threat actors? Make sure I'm enunciating clearly. Had a bit of a headache in my tooth. Man, I've been in dad mode, been wrecked by those kiddos the last few nights. I'm just beat up. I played pickleball for the first time with a friend of mine who I haven't seen in a while. I didn't think I was like, why is he making me play these geriatric sports? What am I doing out here? And man, that was a blast. But I'm hurting today. Everything hurts. CompTIA introduces motivations as something that you see brought up a lot more than I saw in 601. It has its own little area in the exam objectives, which we'll go over, but you'll see motivations is specifically in there. Let's pop this one off and see what it's. Man, I want to play pickleball. Never played it. I played varsity tennis in high school. Dude, I played ping pong. So my friend, I go out to play pickleball. I'm like, what is this? Like, what are you having me out doing out here? And there's all these older people that look like they have a bunch of money, and they're just ripping it with this wiffle ball and a paddle. I'm like, is this like tennis meets ping pong? And he's like, exactly. I was like, dude, let's go. And it is a blast. It's addictive. 80% of you said driven for disdain by the organization's practices, and their primary objective was to raise awareness, to bring about change in the organization's conduct. 80% of you saw that, and in the question said that probably has to do with political change, and that 80% I do believe is correct. And sure enough, the answer is political change. Oh, we went back. We'll go revisit that one, but that was the correct answer. When we look at political climate, we don't always need to think red, blue, Democrat, blah, 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 Republican. We can always think work politics. What in the system do I not like? F the system. Damn the man. Boop. Sorry, Kennedy. What in the system do I not like, right? So it's kind of some ways you can look at that. Excuse me. Need that coffee. It's good. Any bocce ball fans out there? The same friend that introduced me to pickleball also plays bocce ball. He loves the yard games. Nicholas, if you're watching, I hope you're well. Bill, brother, if you're in Montana watching this, I hope you and Caroline are doing well. You and the family. Or if you're sharing this on Team Replay. Next question, moving on. An organization has just completed an assessment of all points where a threat actor might exploit a vulnerability in the network. This analysis includes its computer systems, network points, network ports, applications, and user interactions. What is the term for this collection of potential points of exploitation? Threat landscape, A. B, threat vector. C, attack surface. Or D, attack vector. I tend to disagree with this answer. At your stage in your career, would you mind throwing in chat, BSEC, just how long roughly you've been in IT? Starting from your very first time, resetting Jenny's printer and her password all the way up to where you're at now. How long have you been in IT? Cyber, IT sec. Kenneth Lowy, boo! What up, man? Welcome to the party, pal. It's good to see you. How does that not catch on? I grew up, Jerry and I grew up in the same era. And so a lot of those deep cuts and references that he makes are the exact same stuff that I grew up to singing with my friends. And so some of that stuff just hits home. It hits deep. John McClane, Bruce Willis, man. Bummer. I hope you do better, buddy. I hope you recover. Anyways, moving on. Kenneth Lowy, Jenny Housley. Oh, not that Jenny. I use a lot of metaphorical terms. Carl's, Jenny's, Karen's. And I never mean to offend. I'm a Jesse, right? 26 years. Okay. That's a long time to work in IT cybersecurity. DJ BSEC has come on the show now twice. He understands certifications. And I think he would say that there's a frustrating paradigm of some of the stuff they teach doesn't always land with exactly how it's done, boots on the ground, day to day, which can be frustrating. But that's what we got to do. We got to work with. I think who was it said it yesterday? Was it somebody said it yesterday in a live stream? The difficulty of it was John Strand. John Strand was talking yesterday. Phenomenal teacher. Just a phenomenal mentor and teacher. I would love to get to know him more. He's I love to talk to him about educating and just pen testing. He's just a wealth of knowledge, comic books. But he was saying one of the issues with cybersecurity, with getting hired in the job market and this influx of people and just how it operates and why there's this deficit of positions, but it's hard to get them filled, is because cybersecurity is one of those things that it's just the people who are at the top are running and gunning themselves, right? Attacks change. Everything is constantly changing. So the minute you learn one thing, it's like, okay, come on, let's learn another thing. And so it's just one of those concepts where cybersecurity is all about running and gunning. You just need to tell John I want to have a jam session. I know. DJ BSEC, are you coming out to Deadwood this year? Kenneth Lloyd, Casually Joseph, I know you're going to come out to Deadwood. I hope you do. Let's look at this answer, this question. We're doing great on time. This is about split down the middle, almost as I expected, 50% roughly and 47%. Just want to see that one split down the middle. And the correct answer on this one is attack surface. CompTIA speak, what we're looking for here is attack surface. And attack surface refers to all the points where a threat actor might exploit a vulnerability, okay? This wall, this piece of, let's say this part where my hand is, just this part where the light's hitting it right here. Let's say this is my attack surface and I've got a weak spot in the sheetrock. That's the vulnerability. The attack surface refers to this entire surface where there could be vulnerabilities endpoints, just different network points. All right, pretend this is a computer. Well, this is my attack surface. All the possibilities that could be attacked. The surface area of the attack of the whatever it is, right? And so that's what CompTIA is going to look for. So think attack surface. They're looking for threat actors, threat vectors, and attack surface. A threat vector is the how, what's being like, how it's happening, right? Is it phishing? What is the direction, the vector? Threat actors are the baddies, the hackers, the hacksaws, the bad guys, the people trying to get in, right? Those are our threat actors. And then attack surface is the surface of the area that is being attacked. Put those down with little equal signs next to them because that's what CompTIA is looking for in this scenario. We are wrapping up. We've got two questions left before we go into our slides. A company has recently deployed a mobile application for its employees during a security audit observation. So some employees downloaded the application from third-party app stores, not official ones. Additionally, the IT department found that a few employees are using older versions of the operating system on their devices. What vulnerabilities are likely to emerge in this scenario? Application level vulnerabilities, A. Outdated hardware vulnerabilities, B. Operating system level vulnerabilities, C. Or D. Social engineering vulnerability. At this point, you're starting to see that CompTIA does basically just scenario-based testing. Given a scenario, summarize the security concept. Given a scenario, implement from these options what you would do. That's all they're trying to get you to do, is from this given body of security plus knowledge, they want you to give them the best answer from a scenario that they're going to give you. So I really hope that you're getting value from this, as demystifying what these questions are going to look like on test day. So what's the difference between a threat landscape and an attack surface? What's, I don't know the letters that are in the words. CompTIA very well could be a proprietary CompTIA thing. We're going to see it here in the slides and in their documentation. You're going to see it in Professor Messier's notes as well, but that's what they call it. That's what they refer to as I think threat landscape is a totally viable answer. And again, CompTIA is looking for what is the best answer from the stuff that they've taught you, right? And what they've taught is that it's attack surface, threat vector, and threat actor. Oh yeah, and this one, what did BSEC say? This question is all four, but it says pick the best two. Oh no, did I make a mistake in its edit and its programming? Bummer. We'll skip that one. Okay, well, most of you got it right anyways. The correct answers were application level vulnerability and operating system level vulnerability. Downloading applications from third-party app stores increases the risk of installing versions that someone may have tampered with or contain malicious code. Introducing application level vulnerabilities. Pause. Remember, we're studying for Security Plus. Maybe you've played some Try Hack Me. Maybe you've played some, I almost said Jack in the Box. Some Hack the Box. What do we do when we download a file and we want to see if it's changed from the way that it was before? What do we look up and compare? Drop it in chat if you know the answer. Because I want us to pause as we're studying and going through these answers. And that's part of slaying these questions, is having that tree method, right? That tree mentality that we see the answers and then we need, like a tree, for the roots of the objectives to start spreading out, right? I know that's a kind of heady explanation, but that's how I think is we understand the concept and then we need to start branching out and look at those connected concepts. Threat landscape, DJ BSEC says threat landscape is every possible threat. Attack surface is the number of possible points an organization has. 26 years of experience right there, ladies and gentlemen. DJ BSEC. Is Jay Gold in the house? I've missed a couple. He's probably mad at me. I haven't texted him back in a couple days in a day on Discord. We usually chat quite a bit, and it's just been nuts. All right, hopefully this is a good answer, a good question. In the context of information security, an organization discovers a zero-day vulnerability in its database software. At the same time, a known hacking group has expressed intentions to target entities using this specific software. Which of the following best describes this situation's relation to vulnerability, threat, and risk? There he is, Jay Gold. On that previous question, did you all see out there how it had you pick two of the best answers, right? And then on this one, you see how best is bolded and it's bold, but it's also all caps. That's going to be like that on test day as well. And the reason is because they're trying to get you to think a specific way. And every time we get to these, I pause because if it's your first time here or you're getting ready to take the exam and you just didn't realize this, I want you to take it with you, put it in your tool pocket, and take it with you in your toolkit to test day. But whenever you see best right here, CompTIA wants you to think and understand that this may be a partially weighted question, meaning that you could get partial credit if you don't necessarily get the best answer. Let's say there's a better and a best, right? There's a better and a best. And so let's say you get the better answer, but not the best answer. You're probably going to get partial credit. That's why it's unbelievably important that you answer every single question on the exam to the best of your ability. Gap analysis, Kenneth Lowy says, and I'm going to take, man, I like having chat in there though. No, I don't know if you guys need it, the overlay. God, delay is short tonight. Let me know in chat. Do you like chat on the screen when we're doing the testing, or do you want me to take it out? Is it a distraction? Do you want me to keep my eye open for funny things and put them out there? Evan, what's going on? Welcome to the room. Welcome to the session, the Slay session, the evening Slay session. Ain't nobody resting. Coming to the Slay session, ain't nobody resting, confessing. I'm looking up, but there ain't no cardiac arrest that's gonna be sitting here slaying these questions. Yeah, let's read through this question real quick. We see a zero-day vulnerability. A zero-day vulnerability means that there is a vulnerability, an issue somewhere in the code that the developers or security professionals are not privy to. They don't know it's there yet. It has not been exploited yet. It's a 0 day. There is no days of exploit yet. The hackers figured it out. Software developers didn't do input validation. Maybe the browser is effed up and it didn't validate properly, So 0 day vulnerabilities lurk. It's whenever we see developers or software developers or security practitioners unaware of them existing in the wild yet. They have not been exploited yet. They're 0 days. The 0 days. At the same time, a known hacking group has expressed intentions to target entities using this specific software. So a known hacking group has expressed interest in attacking entities using this software with the 0 day unknown vulnerability into it. And we see our answers here. The organization conducts relatively vulnerability assessments to maintain its security posture. Well, that helps, but clearly they didn't do very good assessments. They must have had somebody else, the other guys. Who are you? I'm the guy doing his job. You must be the other guy. The departed, anybody? The organization mitigates the risk by improving physical security and firewall conditions. Well, we're not talking we're not talking physical security issues here. So this question you can immediately scratch this answer as a possibility. The organization hires an external cybersecurity firm to identify potential threats. I think that's great. That's maybe a key step in this process. But I really think that BSEC hit it on the head when he said, even though CompTIA says best, at the end of the day, really there's only one answer. And I do believe that it is. The organization increases its risk of a security breach due to the threat and vulnerability. What's the vulnerability? Well, they say it here in the question, 0 day. And what is the threat? The threat is the hacking group. So this question answers itself. This is another example of how CompTIA sometimes will answer their own questions within the question or give you clues. 100%. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to pause. We're going to revisit some questions. Let's go right into our slides. It's a little bit of death by PowerPoint, but that's what we're going to do. Objectives. Now we're going to see some CompTIA speak, kind of how they teach it. Objectives. Compare and contrast attributes and motivations of threat actor types. And while we go over this, I'm going to close out our VVox and have Messer fired up. And actually, let's do this. Today, we are going to look at what CompTIA has to say about 2.0 threats, vulnerabilities, and mitigations, compare and contrast common threat actors and motivations, and explain common threat vectors and attack surfaces. So again, CompTIA is going to give you a given scenario, and they're going to ask you about one of these things, right? And so we're going to use what we call the chunking method, and that hopefully is not how you feel in your stomach, like throwing chunks. But we're going to use the chunking method in that we're going to break these things down, right? When you look at it, it's a lot of information, but look at what we're looking at. When we talk threat actors, we only have to worry about these ones within CompTIA's notes, right? This is what the scope of what you're going to be tested on. Could CompTIA bring some things in from Net Plus or just some random questions? Yes, sometimes they do have tester questions to see if it's a good question or a bad question. They're not worth any points, so you may see something on the test that's just whack. CompTIA does have some bogus questions. Their test questions, like testing their own test questions, but they also say it's to like see how you're reacting to their writing of questions and all that kind of stuff. So, right, we're going to look at threat actors. We're going to look at this bunch, this chunk of threat actors, and then look at the motivations. So instead of trying to, don't freak yourself out and go, oh my gosh, I have to know all the motivations in cybersecurity. No, you have to know these motivations that CompTIA has listed out, right? So use this piece of paper, this document here, whether you print it or you digitally have it on your computer. You can use a, typically in your browsers, right? Our PDF viewers, we can draw and type and make notes, bloop, 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 right? And so you can get this and start marking it up day one. So we're actionable. Let's get started. Oop. CompTIA has this funny thing where they say vulnerability plus threat equals risk, and risk equals impact and likelihood. More on that little bit later. And from what I found in the notes, you won't be like quizzed on this little graph specifically, but this is a visual representation they give us. I don't really like it, but that's what they give us. Attributes of threat actors. Okay. Known threats versus adversary behaviors, internal versus external. What are the attributes of them? What makes them what they are, right? What's Jesse's attributes? He's outgoing, he's quiet, he's a little bit psychotic, right? Well, whatever, he gets hyped. Those are attributes of him. Things that he is about, okay? An internal threat? Is he an external threat? What's the level of sophistication and capability? These are the attributes of threat actors, of bad guys. And I'm saying these things in repetitive motion because I want you to start hearing these things as keywords. Keywords, keywords, keywords. When you're studying for CompTIA Security Plus, keywords can sometimes make or break. So, level of sophistication capability. Low capability actors rely on commodity tools, right? Automation, readily available things that anybody can find on maybe the open net, clear net, or even they find them on the dark net, but they're just commodity tools. High capability actors develop new attacks. They've got teams of DevOps guys and just people that are developing tools and software and all kinds of different social engineering techniques and working with artificial intelligence, machine learning, blah, 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 blah. High capability actors typically sometimes, typically and sometimes, are sometimes access to political or military assets, which increases their level of sophistication and capability. And one thing that you want to take home from this part of the slide is that resources and funding are probably the most important. And the reason being that you can have all of those things to a certain level, but if your resources and your funding sucks, right? If my resources aren't the greatest, we've got some support, but like I could have if I was a gabillionaire, I would have a significantly nicer streaming station, right? So resources and funding, the bottom line, it's all about that cashish, baby. 100% is what that's all about. And so resources and funding are super important. So you might want to put a check mark down there. Good to know. Here we go. We see intent and motivation. Motivation gets brought up a couple of times. We see Professor Messer talk about it, and we also see it in these slides here. And so CompTIA wants us to understand motivations. They're calling them motivations. Maliciously targeted versus opportunistic. Am I seeking out BSEC's computer? I was about to say, am I seeking out BSEC's box? No, I'm not doing that. Am I seeking out BSEC's computer so I can cause harm to it, or am I just doing some kind of scan and he pops up as a vulnerable machine and it's out of crime of opportunity, right? What's the motivation? Again, accidental versus unintentional. Okay, accidental and unintentional aren't necessarily the same thing, but they can be related. Strategy, service disruption, data exfiltration, and disinformation. Let's start getting our minds wrapped around the difference between misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation is where I just hear something wrong. I hear that it's called, his last name is Justin Fold, not Justin Gold. And I accidentally put that in a couple different texts, right? That's misinformation. Disinformation is purposely telling somebody misinformation in hopes to cause that other person or entity harm. Okay, misinformation is mishearing things. Disinformation has a level of culpability to it and has a level of intentionality to it. So some differences to maybe write in your notes, and we'll talk. I think CompTIA talks more about this. Chaotic motivations, we'll talk more about that. Financial motivations, blackmail, extortion, and fraud. I saw a couple the pre-exam questions, and blackmail was listed as a motivation, which I didn't see on 601. But clearly it's important to CompTIA. So blackmail, extortion, these are motivations. Not the threat vector, but why somebody would do something, right? And then political motivations, whistleblowers, campaign groups, nation state actors, what's the cause? Here we see hackers and hacktivists. There's CompTIA explained to the world how they like to see that. We have the lone hacker, white hats versus black hats, authorized versus non-authorized. That, it looks like, is where CompTIA is going with the lingo here. So this is something you might want to note. We used to see white hats and black hats. We're seeing the industry as a whole move away from gender and race associated terminology. Anything that could be exclusive terminology, whatever. And so instead of white hats versus black hats, it's authorized versus unauthorized, bad guys versus good guys, ethical hackers versus baddie hackers. We have unskilled attackers, aka script kiddies. So it looks like CompTIA didn't go too far with script kiddies. And then we have hacker teams and hacktivists. There's your script kiddies, BSEC. You. Hey, Evan. Tropic Thunder is amazing. Who was just telling me they watched that? Was my brother. Oh, that movie is hilarious. Nation-state actors and advanced persistent threats, or APTs. They can be attached to military secret services. High level of capability, high level of support, high level of funding. Advanced persistent threats. Espionage and strategic advantage, deniability, and false flag operations. To get more information, I highly recommend that you all check out the MITRE ATT&CK website. Google that, throw it in a Google box and do some research, do some OSINT research on your own studies, but get familiar with these concepts. You can talk about them in a hiring, if you're in an interview, or just to better your own understanding of cybersecurity. But visit the MITRE ATT&CK website and get an idea of these techniques, tactics, and procedures and tools, and how these different APTs operate. Organized crime and competitors. Here we see organized crime. They operate across multiple legal jurisdictions, right? And so you're going to see this when we're talking about, a lot of times you'll see CompTIA give you a scenario, and what they're asking about is some kind of financial crime. They're probably looking for either organized crime or just the blanket cyber criminals. Here we see competitors, cyber espionage and disinformation, saying things about the other company that's not probably true, combined with insider threat. Remember, insider threat is dangerous because insider threats can not only accidentally hurt a company, be a vulnerability to a company, but insider threats typically don't need to hack. So something to take home is you may say insider threat as an option that would fit something else, but if the question has hacking or unauthorized entry, insider threat is probably not going to be your answer, because insider threats typically don't need to hack to get in. They are inside already. So some things to note when CompTIA's testing is that's how they like to play us. Space Tacos, straight cash, homie. What is going on? Good to see ya. Internal threat actors, malicious internal threat actors. These are people probably upset with their jobs, employees, contractors, partners, for all kinds of different reasons. Think of all the reasons that you've contemplated, watch Office Space or watch The Office. Think of all the different reasons why you would do something to a company on your way out or while working there. Anything you can think of, there's a reason to do it. It's just that we're doing it in the digital age. And so, like Matthew, good call, Matthew Pelkey. Insider threats are easy to miss, especially if they have rapport with people within the C-suite and they're really playing the company. Insider threats can be really, really easy to miss. Gotta watch out for. I totally just blanked on that practice where you constantly hire your own family. I forgot what that's called. Anyways, malicious internal threat has or had authorized access. Okay. And so this is an internal threat actor that one time worked there. Now they don't. Maybe I did have access to this database or a server somewhere or something, a web-facing, internet-facing box somewhere, but now I don't. So there's passwords. These, like, again, could be employees, contractors, subcontractors, people that had access or have. Again, why sabotage, financial gain, business advantage, revenge, all the other nepotism. Thank you, Edward Mulder. And then unintentional insider threats. These come down. These are the ones that make us security professionals the most frustrated. Probably the most that we're probably the most guilty of ourselves, especially me in my entry level phase. Maybe not BSEC or casually Joseph that have been in the industry for a long time, but weak policies and procedures. It's really easy to get complacent. It's really easy to not stay up to date, especially on password policies or just different things that we know how to stay secure. It's frustrating. And then there are Carls, as casually Joseph said. Carls! Shadow IT. You know what? I want to have somebody make me a meme. If any of you make memes, send it to me. A meme of Cobra Commander from G.I. Joe saying Shadow IT. Shadow IT! Weak policies and procedures, weak adherence to policies and procedures. Now let's pause again. Remember the study method that we do. We pause for a second and we're going to start branching out. Weak adherence to policy and procedures. What security control from domain one? Remember how everything plays off of each other? What security control could use some work, right? Is it operational? Weak adherence to policies and procedures. Or is that going to be a managerial area of security controls that needs some work? Let's start thinking about the bigger picture. Start connecting every concept with the other concepts of cyber. By the time you get to domain 2, you've now connected things from domain 2 and domain 1. Build them upon each other. Shadow IT. Shadow IT, just unmanaged devices, bringing things in that are against policies, C-suite. Anybody, you could be a C-suite or just any employee, anybody that brings in a device that's not managed, that's not part of the policy, or makes changes that are outside of the policies and procedures. Let's say I'm using the company, I am using the company computer, but because the policies and procedures are so whack, I can make administrative changes. And so I make changes, but IT doesn't know about it. The cyber guys don't, IT sec doesn't know about it. That's shadow IT, right? People that are doing it unqualified style. Sometimes we've been our own shadow IT and we probably know better. Lack of training or security awareness, again, unintentional, but it's probably some of the worst, and it's probably some of the most to get complacent on. I really hope this has given you a view to what CompTIA likes to see. Now they're going to want us to review. We talked about vulnerability, threat, and risk. Attributes of threat actors, internal, external, level of sophistication, capability, and resources and funding. Motivations of threat actors, service disruption, data exfil, disinformation, chaotic, financial, political. We talked about hackers and hacktivists. We talked about nation-state actors and advanced persistent threats. We talked about organized crime and competitors. And we talked about internal threat actors. All right. Let's take a little break for that to sink in. Now, so that was the slides. That's not necessarily the the curriculum, but it is a good example of kind of how CompTIA wants you to look. Now, this is the paid version. Again, I'm not sponsored by Professor Messer. This is a resource that I paid for out of pocket so that I could better teach this course. These are the 701 notes, about $30. Let's go down to where we were, domain 2.1 and 2.2. Wow. Okay, so we see a lot of the same thing from Professor Messer, just in more detail and for a lot less money. Same exact concept, same verbiage, same everything. So let's look for some things that maybe they didn't talk about. I don't see anything Professor Messer didn't cover. Let's look insider threat, more than just passwords. Extensive resources, using the organization's resources against themselves. And I think this is the takeaway tonight from Professor Messer's. You may see something like this in your PBQs, an unfilled graph with missing sections in it. Here we have nation state. Their location is external. Their resources are extensive, and their sophistication is very high. Possible motivations, right? So this breaks it down a little bit. If you can take a screenshot of that, or go down to professormesser.com for $30, get a set of these notes. Absolutely great study resources. I got us. All right, get out of here. Bye. Spammer. All right, who's with me? Family's not back yet, so we can keep streaming. You want to keep going, or do you want to call it a night? We still have, I think, 5 or 6 more questions and about 10 pages of CompTIA notes. What do you guys want to do? Let me know in chat. If you can see that. Be kind. Who's down? Well, there's 15 of us. Keep going. Keep going. All right. People that are not chatting are like, yep, no, I'm listening. I'm just not a chatter. I'm here. All right. Let's keep rocking. All I need is one. All I need is one. If I can help one person, it's worth it. Every single minute. I was about to make dinner and etc. So probably going to drop. What are you making for dinner, Justin? I have to go, but you do you, boo. Happy studying, y'all. Space Tacos, thank you for dropping by. I'll see you in the morning. All right, I'm gonna fly through these anyways. I'm gonna fly through these anyways. All right, message-based vectors. Vectors. How you got there. How the threat was delivered. Email, short message service or SMS, instant messaging. Web and social media vectors or voice calls. We're gonna learn to associate terminology with these different types of. Yeah, you want to do some jaw jack instead, and take a break and save the rest for. Because once the family gets home, it's unload groceries, and if we're in the middle of like a good session, then I don't want to kill the study. And I know that Cyber Hamburger went over this, and we've gone over this too. But I just really, it's important to me that you all get to see how kind of CompTIA words things. Oh, tacos sound so good. Supply chain attack surface. Remember, where you get your services from are usually not the actual source. A lot of times our services are coming from a third, fourth, fifth, party beyond party. Shipping containers. Think of all the different hops. Think about a packet traveling across the network, all the hops it takes. Think about all the goods and services your products have to take to get to your hands. And at any one of those points, there could be a vulnerability that could be exploited by baddies, right? In the process of designing, manufacturing, distributing goods and services to a customer, the supply chain attack surface from the source all the way to destination. Suppliers, vendors, and partners. This includes whole supply chain, can be highly complex, like we were just talking about. Managed service providers. Looking at Professor Mester's notes to see how he refers to message service provider. Oh, well, yes. MSP is that third party not having a good one. Whereas, where is the MSSP exactly? Time to call Barricade. Time to call Casually Joseph. Man, with as many memberships as Casually Joseph's boss drops, Eric Taylor. Surprised that poor boy comes home with a paycheck at all. Can I get an amen and a hallelujah? I'm checking something really quick here. I want to make sure that they didn't. Reviewing attack surface and vectors, vulnerable software network vectors, reverse versus local, direct access, remote wireless, cloud, Bluetooth, default credentials, and open ports. Remember, on our computers, we have, 6,000 and some ports. I don't know how many ports there are. How many ports are there, DJ? BSEC, is it 6,000 and some? I can't remember. But anyways, that's a lot of ports that could be open or closed. Default credentials, typically your hardware or different software applications will have a set of default credentials, such as admin for the username and admin for the password. It's easily hackable and typically on a big list somewhere. Lure-based vectors, lures, emails. Think about phishing. You see CompTIA use this word lure quite a bit for some reason. And then human vectors, hacking the human. Purpose of social engineering, of course, is to gain reconnaissance and elicit information from people. Intrusion and gaining unauthorized access. I can think about many times I've social engineered information out of people. I think that's why I want to be a pen tester. 65,535 ports. Any one of those could be open and insecure. But I remember just using my own social engineering to gather information. It's fun. That's why I got into pen testing. Intrusion and gaining unauthorized access. Many possible scenarios. Persuade user to run a malicious file from an email. Contact help desk and use AI deepfake voice and get and solicit credentials. gain access to a premise and install a monitoring device. So wear your high-vis vest or a UPS jacket and a fake name badge and walk right in. Install maybe some kind of device, a USB device that the computer sees and goes, oh, that's a keyboard. It automatically starts typing PowerShell script, leading to a headache and calling Barricade Cyber Solutions. CompTIA wants us to have a good understanding of impersonation and pretexting. Impersonation means pretending to be somebody else. And there's a couple things that CompTIA has kind of lumped into one thing, whereas 601 really broke it down. But here we see pervasiveness, consensus, and the liking approach. In the impersonating, I'm impersonating somebody else, and I am able to convince you because I say, well, the consensus is basically that Jenny in accounting and Marv in finance knows that I'm they let me through. They know I'm the IT guy. And you go, well, if they say it's you, then it has to be you, right? That's the consensus, the liking approach, the being persuasiveness. Coercion, threat, urgency approach. If you don't, time's running out. I will do this to you if this doesn't happen. Coercion, twisting somebody's arm to get the information. Pretexting, exploit situations where identity proofing is difficult. Identity spoofing is difficult. Use a scenario with convincing additional detail, right? This is the lie. This is the scheme. This is the spiel. Obtain or spoof data that supports the identity claim. We could see pretexting in a whole bunch of different ways, maybe with a name badge, maybe in an email, some kind of watermark or header of some kind that looks to be more legitimized than it really is. So be familiar with this concept of pretexting, coming up with the story. Situations where identity proofing is difficult and exploiting those situations. All right. Some of those concepts we talked about, those lures, those email lures, those digital lures. Voice channel. When you think phone, write down vishing. Just write, scribble, type. Vishing equals phone. Voice phishing. Smishing or short message service phishing. Still, CompTIA is using those, and it looks like the industry is still using that. So be familiar with those concepts. Farming is a form of redirection by a couple different ways. DNS spoofing. So be familiar with these different concepts. Typo squatting. This is where we see people, baddies and threat actors. We see really what they do is they register a domain with a a fully qualified domain name that looks and feels something close to something else that is known, or usually, that is a well-known website, or that's a trusted site, right? Google.com is goggle.com because of all the people that accidentally hit that extra G. And so you go to it and it looks like Google, but it's just slightly off. It's probably a DNS record with typo squatting because you typed something close and the bad guy knew it. Or, right, they convince you through some other means of coercion to type that in. Email spoofing techniques. And make phishing more convincing, makes phishing messages more convincing. Business email compromise. Here we see something that happens all the time. We know Justin Gold has dealt with it. We know that DJ Bisek has dealt with it. This is where we see our business cohorts and their email accounts get compromised, whether that's by somebody that's posing as a colleague, a business partner, or a vendor. It's through spear phishing. Remember, that's a phishing campaign that's targeted either just at one person or at one group of individuals, or maybe that business email was compromised from whaling, right? That's the process of attacking somebody that has power, somebody in the C-suite potentially whaling, living off the fat. CEO fraud, angler phishing. I haven't heard that term before. If somebody wants to look that up and let me know what that one is about. Brand impersonation and disinformation. Remember what we talked about earlier, the difference between misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation is mishearing something. Disinformation is the intentional dissemination or spreading of misinformation with the purpose of causing harm, right? And then watering hole attacks. Compromise a third-party site that the threat actor knows is, what does my thing say? That is known, that is used by the target, right? So Granger, I know there's a company that uses Granger.com. So if I can compromise Granger.com and get them to go there because it's a trusted third-party site, it's a watering hole, I know that that's a place that my company goes to frequently. I've compromised that. Think watering hole. Think a trough and a bunch of horses are businesses, and they all go to this different website. It's a trusted water trough, watering hole. I'm going to poison the well. I'm going to poison the water hole so that any of the people that do business with that website are compromised or affected. Excuse me. Okay, review the activities. We looked at social engineering, human vectors, impersonation, and pretexting, phishing and farming, typo squatting, business email compromise. We see here that CompTIA really isn't asking us to go super deep. You can go more deep with the topics, looking at Professor Messer's notes or some of our other study courses. But that was the 2.1 and 2.2 objectives as CompTIA has them spelled out in their slides. So I hope that was a valuable tool to you. That's something we'll do more frequently, is incorporate some of the actual CompTIA speak just to prepare you for what that's going to look like on test day. And here's a really simple lab. I want to share this resource with you before we get going. Let's see, did BSEC text me? Family text me? Nope. Nope. We need diapers. We'll need you to get dinner. Okay, they're at the play place. Okay, 6 o'clock at the play place. That's okay. So here it says SET, using SET to perform social engineering. That's social engineering toolkit. You may say, what the heck is that and how do I do it? I don't know if I don't know, Jess. I don't have virtual machines. I don't know how to do any of that kind of stuff. There's a couple options that I want to point out to you. Let's actually, first of all, I want to give you a resource. This is 101 free labs. They say they're security plus labs, but really this is just 101 free labs that you can do on your own, and you can explore them to varying degrees. We still got jaw jacking time. Let me look. What time did that come in? Are you on your way home? ? We are still vibing. I didn't do any promotion, and there are a few people here still, which is nice. These are the hardcore OGs. So let's go to 101 labs. I think it's is there .net or .com? I'll take you to 101 labs. Learn by doing. This is a free resource. Okay, 101labs.net. 101 labs. Actually, let's just share this with you. Is it a long one? No. Share this with you in chat. Check out 101labs.net. They've got some paid resources, of course, some PBQs and stuff you can look at. But if you click right here on free labs, there's 101 free labs that they walk you through. Now, it does help to have VirtualBox, maybe Kali running on 4 gigs of RAM if you got it. And then if you can, some of these will provide browser-based boxes you can hack for free and little labs you can do. Some of them you might need to set that up as far as having a Windows box, but a lot of these are web-based. So that lab that CompTIA tells you to do, it says use social engineering toolkit to perform some social engineering. So we can do this one for absolutely free, and you can do a lot of these for free. Go to lab number 1, credential harvesting using site cloning. See, is that the one I like? I like a lot of these. Using Burp Suite to intercept client-side requests. Now, a lot of these are entry level, right? But still, they're hands-on. They're getting dirty. Getting dirty. All right. So this is cool. So this is free. Again, 101labs.net. Learn how to harvest credentials by using a clone site. Now, the steps they walk you through used to work really well. Since then, a few websites have cracked down. I used to have a pretty quick one that I could pull off with LinkedIn. Looked legit and worked every time. That one doesn't work, and Facebook doesn't work like it used to, but you can still get really any site that has a login. You can get a lot of others to work. It's pretty fun. It's a really fun trick. This is really low-hanging fruit. This is a great way to scare people and understanding how easy it is to attack somebody. But the first step is you get Kali Linux set up, and you're just going to run Social Engineering Toolkit if you have that installed. Type in sudo. I actually think it's sudo because sudo stands for super user do. So is it sudo or sudo? Everybody says sudo, but I think it's sudo. You're welcome. You can use Black Eye and it'll clone up to 20 main sites. There you go. That would be worth putting in the Google there, everybody. But we're going to do Social Engineering Toolkit, and it walks you through this, right? You click number 1, click number 2, or I'm sorry, you type it in your command line. It's going to have you go to Site Cloner. Has you set. They're going to use Facebook as an example. And when you do it, it's quite the trip. You create a website, and for all intents and purposes, it looks just like Facebook. And what's cool is, of course, you would have sent a phishing email or you would have done something to get people to go to Facebook, right? You've fished them into logging in. Well, they put in their information. And what's really fun about this is they put their stuff in and it flashes. It doesn't give a warning. Maybe they've cracked down on it. I haven't done this in a while, but it just flashes and then it goes back to the login screen, but there's nothing in the credential boxes. And you go, that's weird. My computer must be acting up today. So then you actually, although doing so, YouTube might pull down the video. Jerry's, oh, really? I was going to do this one. I was going to do this as one of my get people going videos. Yeah, I got a comment taken down on I play guitar and all that kind of nonsense. And there was a company I made a comment about the Kansas City Chiefs, and LinkedIn or Instagram pulled it down. Whatever. Anyways, it flashes. It's super cool. And you think as if you're just the person logging in, the victim, you're like, hey, what's going on with my web browser? What's up with the internet today? And so you re-log in again. Well, that first time you logged in, that was the cloned site. And as you can see, the threat actor has a possible username because most people are going to log in and they're going to see whatever that password was. This was a weak one. And the threat actor would obviously either sell that in a credential dump to the dark web, or they could potentially just go log in on that Facebook real quick, switch things around, and cause a whole nother series of bad things, right? So that's the Social Engineering Toolkit. There's a whole bunch of other labs you can do on here for free. And again, cool. They're headed, no time for jaw jack. Next time, BSEC for sure. They're headed to the clock, which means it's about 10 minutes from the mall. But you can use Nmap, some basic Nmap. There's some basic tools that we'll see come up in all of your Linux fundamentals. You do 101 of these free labs, and you can create yourself, really start learning how to connect the dots with these labs that you did, okay? Learning how to explain them, not just I did 100. Hey, hiring manager says, hey, Jess, tell us about some things that you did to gain experience. We see that you're entry level. What are some things that you did? You have your Security Plus. What have you done to gain experience in cybersecurity? I did 101 labs on the internet. They're free. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. We're going to continue to look over your application, and if anything comes up, we'll make sure and let you know. Bye-bye. That's what's going to happen, okay? So what you need to do is you need to do 101 of these labs, or 50 of them, or 5 of them, and with the help of your network, understand how to work them into a portfolio, how to document not just what you did, but that you understand the greater detail of the tool that you're using, the tool set, and of the concept, right? The theory and then the tool set. A lot of tools are going to be different. I was talking. Tools are the same exact way that guitar pedals are. And I don't know if John Strand might have said this too. Mother flipper, genius. To me, tools in cybersecurity, so whether you're blue team or red team, whatever tool you pick, there really isn't a good, better, best. They're all good. And they're all going to be good, better, at best at doing different things depending on what your goal or objective is. Same thing with musical equipment and just stuff, digital versus analog. It's all good. It just depends on what your context is. And so learning all these tools, whether they may not be 100% everything you're going to see being used, it's a good idea to get your hands wrapped around these tool sets. And so there's 101 free labs. I did a good handful of them. I wish I could say that I did them all, but I didn't. But there are some fun ones in here. And it's going to give you a good exposure to cybersecurity. It's going to get your hands dirty. You're going to get exposure to Burp Suite. You're going to get exposure to using different Linux tools. And so I highly recommend you go down that path. Get your Security Plus, folks. 14 of you that are still with me on live stream. Get your Security Plus and then get the hell out of certification land unless somebody's paying for it, right? You want to be a red teamer? Don't waste time with Pen Test Plus. There's not a multiple choice exam on this planet that can tell a hiring professional or anybody in the industry how good of a penetration tester you are. Pen testing and ethical hacking is a hands-on process. It is about understanding tools, people, techniques. Things don't work the way that they are listed in these labs all the time. Sometimes you have to configure your computer in certain ways. Sometimes Linux is a pain in the ass. Sorry, Kennedy. And you have to configure Kali in certain ways. And so Pen Test Plus is a waste of time. Now, if somebody's paying for it and you're doing it on their dime, great. Throw it on your resume, learn the tools, learn the skill sets and the terminology, but you're not going to get a pen testing job or a red team job. And I promise you, people on the red team in the industry, they may not say it because they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but Pen Test Plus is not a pen test certification. It's not. It does not. Security Plus isn't a cybersecurity certification. What it is the certification that tells me, hey, you can study for something and then be tested on it, whatever that concept is. It just so happens that Security Plus covers cybersecurity. So it's really important, us entry-level people and you folks that are just arriving in cybersecurity land, that you do not neglect the hands-on activities, whether that's volunteering, whether that's getting your hands dirty through 101 Labs. DFIR on YouTube has a great, Jerry Ozier has a great walkthrough of labs. More than anything, if you can get some volunteer experience working with actual clientele, building reports for people, that is one of the best ways to build that experience that you can explain to a hiring manager in that position. Also, don't neglect building your professional network with meaningful people in your network. I see almost the same 25 to 50 people every Slay Security Plus. That tells me that we've built a community of people that are showing up. Sec Plus says, I know what's in the books. Exactly. And getting it done is, I know what is actually done. Right? It does not show that you can do the work. It does not show you can do the work at all. Do not be upset with yourself if you get Security Plus and nobody hires you. It's not because you're a bad cybersecurity professional. It's not because you should be wasting your time or that you're an imposter. It's because that certification doesn't actually say whether you can do the job. All it does is it says I can study for it, I can pass the concepts on a test, and now I can have a conversation with the hiring manager. The DoD has deemed that it's a good certification to have. You've checked some boxes. Thank you very much. Move along. Now get your hands dirty. Build your network. Get your hands dirty. Do the free stuff first. Anti-siphon training. I cannot explain to you how phenomenal the training from John Strand and this SOC core skills class. I want to be a hacker like nothing else, right? I want to be a pen tester, consultant, holistic pen testing. But I took this class because to learn the valuable stuff, I'm getting all excited about it, from John Strand and the way he teaches it. It doesn't matter whether you're a pen tester, a sysadmin, a blue team, red team, understanding how he holistically looks at cybersecurity just takes you to that next level. And it's free. It's freaking free, right? Don't waste money on a boot camp. You can get here, and by here, I mean you can get to a good place in cybersecurity with a YouTube premium account and $500 for a security plus, right? So let's go. Let's get our hands dirty. CISSP is 100% different. You need 5 years of proven experience. Not only do you need 5 years of proven experience, you need another ISC2 member to vouch for you, to say, yes, BSEC is qualified to have the CISSP. Now, Security Plus does knock 1 year of experience off of that, knocking that down to 4 years. But I think the minimum you can get away with is it's either 3 or 4. But you cannot say you have a CISSP until that's met. Now, you can take the exam and pass it, okay? But you don't get your actual certification. You just become an associate until that 5 years is met in like 4 of the 6 domains of cyber that they prescribe. Until that time is met, sorry, Charlie, you're not a CISSP. So that is one of those certifications. And then you've got to keep it updated with CPEs, which love them or hate them, they make you keep them updated. And so, again, a different certification. And I want to stress that, you know, I'll look on applications, I'll see CISSP and Security Plus in the same sentence. CISSP, CISA, CEH, Security Plus, or otherwise the same cert. And they treat them as the same. Well, they're not the same. And the CISSP is going to probably that cert with some experience, because you're going to have 5 years of it, or at least 4 years. Certs like that, those can definitely take you different places in your career. CISM, CISA, CISM, CISSP, those are 3 that really can take your career to the next place. Learning Azure security, learning different concepts and tools, those look great, and being able to work those tools. But when it comes to certs, CISSP, CISA, CISM, some of the GIAC certs, those definitely do carry weight in the industry. Entry level, sorry CC folks, sorry Google cert folks, those are great certs to have. They're great certs to talk about on your LinkedIn and to learn them. But really, at the end of the day, the fundamental, the entry level cybersecurity heavyweight is Security Plus. That's why we do it. That's because it's the most accessible to everybody. You can get CISSP associates with a past exam, yep, and then get it later. So I'm looking for certs. I'm looking at that PNPT still coming up. I'm still in the process of doing Jerry's Cyber 101. I was a beta tester for that. I didn't get through what Ling did. I'm creating Slay Security Plus and then create stuff for Haiku. So we're busy over here. But for me, I'm looking at probably PNPT, losing some connection, and then continue to build my foundation in cybersecurity, learn skills, tool sets, build my network. I may start applying aggressively for something to add to my Haiku resume. Right now, it's just Haiku and Slate Security Plus. I'm truly not in a hurry to like just get anything. I really want to do some specific things in cybersecurity, mainly be an analyst and an educator. So a pen tester, I call them all analysts. I love how Black Hills, if you go to Black Hills, they're a pen testing company. They don't call their people pen testers. They're just analysts. Right? I just want to be an analyst, holistic cybersecurity. I want to understand how to break, but also understand how to fix. And I also want to be able to help people in that process, and then teach, give, teach, give, teach, and do this until I have a tag on my toe. I hear the dogs barking. That means the family is pulled in. Thank you for letting me get long-winded tonight. My love for cyber is deep and it is wide. I love you guys very, very much. Thank you, you Thursday Warriors, for hanging out for tonight's edition of Slay Security Plus. DJ BSEC, Evan, Justin Gold, Casually Joseph, Laura Flores, all of you that I missed, and some of you that are going to watch us on Team Replay. I hope that you have a wonderful evening. I'll see you tomorrow for Dr. Jerry Ozier's Cyber Threat Brief. Have a wonderful weekend. I am Jesse J. You are Slay Security Plus, and